The joint practice between the Cowboys and the Rams brought its fair share of drama, and none bigger than the sudden exit of rookie quarterback Joe Milton. Things were going well for Milton early on. He looked sharp, especially with the twos, showing solid command and even delivering a big-time throw to Yalen Brooks that had fans buzzing. But just when it seemed like he was gaining momentum, Milton hit his thumb on a helmet and had to leave the field. He didn't return, and of course, that instantly triggered concern across Cowboys Nation. Now, we've all learned to take Dr. Jerry updates with a grain of salt, but Jerry Jones quickly downplayed the injury, calling it non-serious. Brian Schottenheimer followed up with a similar take, saying Milton looked comfortable and could have returned if needed. But here's the thing, how many times have we heard it's not serious only to see a guy miss time? That's the part that makes you pause, especially when we're talking about a young quarterback who actually needs every rep he can get. The Cowboys are heading into their preseason game soon, and fans are hoping Milton is available to suit up. Nobody wants to sit through for quarters of O'Greer again, not when you've got a rookie with upside who needs to be evaluated under pressure. This is Milton's chance to prove he belongs in the QB conversation moving forward, and even a minor thumb injury can slow down that momentum. If you're pulling for Joe Milton to get healthy and take that next step, here's what I want you to do. Drop JM in the comments to send some good vibes his way. Seriously, let's flood that section and let the rookie know Cowboys Nation has his back. And hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're pushing for 16,000 subscribers. And if you love getting real updates like this the moment they happen, that's the easiest way to support the channel. Stick around because this was just the beginning of what turned out to be a very revealing practice. If there was one clear message sent during the joint practice with the Rams, it's this: the Cowboys' offensive line depth just isn't where it needs to be. And look, no one's pretending the joint practice is some kind of playoff atmosphere, but when you're getting pushed around in the trenches, that's a red flag you can't ignore. It started early and was hard to miss. The Rams looked far more physical up front. They brought pressure, they disrupted the backfield, and they dominated one-on-one matchups. The Cowboys, on the other hand, had to roll with backup linemen like Nathan Thomas and Brock Hoffman, and it showed. Whether it was blown stunts, missed pickups, or flat out getting beat off the snap, the second team unit struggled mightily. And let's not sugarcoat it, Nathan Thomas had a rough day. He's a developmental guy who hasn't played against live non-teammate competition in a long time. Going up against a monster like Jared Verse wasn't just a challenge, it was a mismatch. Speaking of Verse, he was absolutely living in the backfield. Play after play, he found ways to get around, through, or past the line. Sure, you can't hit the quarterback in a practice setting, but there were multiple sack scenarios that would have been drive killers in a real game. It wasn't just the left side either. Even veteran Terrence Steele had moments where he looked off balance. And when the run game is also getting blown up, more on that in a bit, you know things aren't clicking up front. Yes, it's worth mentioning the Cowboys were without Tyler Guyton and others, but depth matters. What happens if Guyton isn't ready for week 1? What's the plan then? This team can't afford to have Dak running for his life or to have the offense sputter before it even gets going. So let me ask you this. What's your one-word reaction to the Cowboys' offensive line performance against the Rams? Drop it in the comments below. And while you're at it, if you think Dallas needs to shore up the O-line before week 1, hit that like button. We've got more to break down from this practice, including some serious concerns in the run game. Let's dive in. Now, if the offensive line was struggling in pass protection, you can bet the run game didn't fare much better, and that's exactly what happened. Outside of a couple isolated flashes, the Cowboys just couldn't establish anything on the ground. And against a physical front like the Rams, the lack of push becomes even more noticeable. Javonte Williams had maybe one decent run with a solid cut and good blocks from Jake Ferguson and Brock Bowers. But that was it. Beyond that, there was very little space for him to work with. It wasn't just a matter of missed opportunities, it was a complete lack of room to operate. The Rams' front seven stuffed lanes, redirected runs, and shut things down before they could even develop. Yalen Blue showed a little burst working with the second unit, and Hunter Luepke made the most of his red zone reps, punching in a score that at least gave coaches something to review. But if we're being honest, that's not the kind of production you want to hang your hat on. You don't want your most effective run play coming from your fullback in a red zone package. It's one practice, sure, but this isn't a brand new concern. We saw flashes of this last season's struggles to generate consistent yards on early downs, failing to get the tough yards in short situations. The blocking has to be better, and the backs need to be decisive. Right now, it just feels disjointed. So what do you think? Do you trust this current running back group to get it done this season? Let me know in the comments. And if you think the Cowboys might need to add another back before week 1, comment run down below. Also, shout out to everyone still locked in. If you're still watching, you're part of the real Cowboys core. Hit that subscribe button and help us get to 16,000 strong. We've got a lot more to cover, including a few bright spots in the passing game. That's next. After a rough start in the trenches, things finally started to turn around for the Cowboys, and it began with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. When the offense finally had some time to work, the passing game clicked into gear. Quick throws, sharper routes, and most importantly, big-time plays from Lamb made all the difference. CeeDee was simply on another level. He was getting separation, going up to high point the football, and just generally making Rams defenders look out of place. And to be clear, this Rams secondary isn't exactly loaded. But still, when you see a guy making highlight plays in joint practice, it gives you some confidence that he's going to carry that same energy into the season. Lamb wasn't just the best receiver on the field, he was one of the best players, period. Dak, to his credit, kept the offense steady once they adjusted to a quicker tempo. It wasn't perfect, but the rhythm started to build late in the session, and you could see his connection with Lamb, with George Pickens, and even some of the depth guys start to come alive. The big concern, though, is that we've seen this movie before. Dak and Lamb having to shoulder the entire offensive load, while the run game lags behind. And that's not a formula for long-term success. At the end of the day, Dak still needs protection. If the line doesn't hold up, or if the run game can't balance the offense, you can't expect him to play hero every single week. That's why this little spark we saw in the passing game needs to be built upon, not relied on as the only solution. So let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in the Cowboys' passing offense going into the season? And do you think it's fair to expect Dak to carry this group again? Drop your answers below. And if you believe CeeDee Lamb is a top 5 receiver in the league, go ahead and smash that like button. Up next, we've got to talk about the other side of the ball, specifically the one area that might force the front office to make a move before week 1. As good as the Cowboys' passing offense looked at times, the same can't be said for their defense, especially the secondary. If there was one area that got flat out exposed during the joint practice with the Rams, it was cornerback depth. And let's not sugarcoat it, this looked bad. With Trevin Diggs still sidelined and Darren Blank getting limited work, it was up to guys like Andrew Booth and Troy Pride to step in. And unfortunately, that's exactly where the Rams went with the football. Time after time, those two were targeted and beat. Devontae Adams got one over Booth, and there was a 2-12 touchdown that looked like a complete communication breakdown. These weren't just clean one-on-one losses. Some of it looked like confusion and flat-out busted coverage. Now, to be fair, Adams is an elite receiver, but this wasn't about star power, it was about depth, and the Cowboys just didn't have it. These aren't guys you want covering starting receivers if Diggs or Bland has to miss time. And let's not pretend Kevin Hall is some kind of long-term solution either. It doesn't stop there. The run defense continues to show cracks. The Rams were able to pop a few chunk plays on the ground, including one where Kyren Williams got to the edge and simply outran everyone. Without Micah Parsons on the field, the Cowboys lacked that spark, the energy, especially at the point of attack. So here's the big question: do the Cowboys need to add help in the secondary? I'm talking now, not later. Type Y for yes or N for no in the comments, and tell me what you'd do if you were in the front office. If you're fired up about this team and want to stay locked in with everything going on around camp, this is the place to be. Hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 16,000. Your support keeps this thing going.